You're going to build this very dashboard here with the data you have inside Microsoft Power BI desktop. If you just launched your Power BI, what you see is this view. So click on this particular console here, and you can find the data set right at this particular part where it says try a sample data set. All right, if you can't find it here, what you need to do is to go to where it says help. So from help, you can click on examples, and here you have the sample data set right here. So clicking on it right now, it will help you to connect to the data. But before then, let us look at the overview of what we are going to build. So here we go. So we have this very interactive dashboard. If you've not actually built a report in Power BI before, or a dashboard in Power BI before, and this is your first time, don't worry. I'm going to walk you through it with just a free data set from Microsoft to you. All right, now it's very interactive. So here we go. We can just choose different country. And now what you're seeing is based on France, and we were able to actually format this particular line chart right here. I'm going to show you how to do everything, how to set everything up down to this particular part, to where you might be thinking like, how did you do this? So don't worry, we're going to see everything. Okay, to get started, make sure you actually, launch your PBIX just like this, and you have this. The very first thing you're going to do when you have this up is for you to click on this particular try a sample dataset. Okay, you have this already up. That is good. So if you want to take a look at your tutorial, you can take a look at that. But why is that important? Because they are not going to do a holistic work just like what we're about to do. So you can just try to feed your eyes with what they have right here for you. But following this tutorial will definitely work well for you. So the very first thing you have to do is to click on load sample data here. Just give it some time, you will have it up right now. Then you can start to actually do the right formatting on the dataset. So it's connecting to the data. You don't need to actually have the data inside your system, but if you want to have it downloaded, you can. I'm going to show you how to download it, after the whole lesson, but you don't worry, just watch. Okay, we have two worksheets right here. The first worksheet is named financials, while the second worksheet is named sheet 1. So they both have the same data. So you don't need both of them because I said to you that they both have the same data. So the one we're going to use now is this particular financials right here. So we don't have the load and the transform data active. To activate it now, we have to make sure we check this part. All right, to my beginner student, let me show you what is going on right here. When you click on load, what happens is actually going to load this to Power BI straight up, while the transform data will help you to push this into another, powerful machine or engine, whatever you want to call it, or Power BI kitchen, where you can actually have your data clean and transformed. So we want to transform this. I'm going to click on transform data. All right, it's taking us there. Just give it some time. It's coming up. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you firsthand that you're welcome to Power Query. Here is a Power Query environment where you can actually have your data clean, transformed, and do all manner of things you want to do with the data. So first of all, just get this off, and we're going to take a tour through the whole data and see what is going on. So the first thing we're going to take care of is actually check if the data types are actually really cool. So for this one here, I want to make sure I change this to a whole number. So here we have all the data types we have existing. Just make sure you choose the correct one. For a whole number, we have this. All right. So now this is a very important part you need to know about, where it says replace current and as well add a new step. It's talking about this one right here. So if you want to replace these particular changes we've made right now onto this one here, you can definitely click on replace, but we just want to add new one. Watch what happens. It added a new step for us. All right, scrolling to this particular end, what you can see now is the quantity sold, or the unit sold, the manufacturing price, which is the cost price of every single product, followed by the sales price. And right here already we have, the gross sales, the sales, the cost of goods sold, and as well the profit calculated for us. So we don't want this actually, we're going to actually make sure we just use our own, measure to actually get this calculated. So what are we going to do? So I'm going to show you that feature called choose, columns. So when you actually open this place up, go to where it says choose column. So I have it opened. I have to make a choice of the columns I want to keep and those columns I don't really want. So I don't want to see the cost of goods sold. We are going to calculate that ourselves. I don't want to see the sales, which is the net sales. We do that ourselves. And for the gross sales right here, we don't actually want it. We are going to do all that ourselves. Now, because we're going to be creating a date table, there is no way we're going to keep this particular month number, month name, and as well the year. So those are the columns we don't want. So the next thing we do, we click on OK. That actually removes some columns for us. So here in this top, you can actually have it renamed to what you want if that is what you want. So just come here and click on rename. So you can just say, I removed, sorry for that, some columns. So you can just make something like this just because of who is going to inherit this to know what is going on right here. Okay, nicely done. But one thing is not really cool with me right on this data set right now. That is actually the date. The date is actually at the right hand corner. We want to float this to the left hand corner. So how do we do that? Should we just start moving it manually like this? Just like this? I guess no. So here is it. If I want to take it back to where I took it from, what I can do is for me to actually Ctrl-Z. Does that work? Doesn't really make any damn sense because it's not going to work. So right here in Power Query and as well in Power Query rather, in Power BI, Ctrl-Z works, but here in Power Query, it doesn't really work. What works here is you removing the stop you've just added. That is this particular stop right here. So I'm talking about this area, all this area down to here would help you to actually accumulate any step you're going to add as you keep creating and transforming your data. All right, so let us remove this. What happens? It removes the date from here and take it back to its original place. The next thing that we're going to do right now is to come here and right click. So once we right click, is just two steps. The first step is to right click and the second step is to move down and see where we have moved and choose where you want to actually have this date to be. I want to have the date at the beginning, and that is all we need to do. We just have it moved to the left hand corner. So that is all. So I'm going to tell you firsthand that this is all you need to do to actually have your data cleaned. So we're not going to do much here because it's just an introduction to Power BI desktop and how you can create a very nice dashboard. So let us go down to Power BI itself. So to actually take this to Power BI, what you need to do is to hit this particular close and apply. So just give it some time. You're going to have everything right here. All right, here we have the table. If I click on it, it opens all the columns we have inside the table for us. So we call this particular place the visual or the report view. So this canvas here is where we're going to build our visual. And this one here is actually data view, where you can actually take a look at every single columns that we have right in this particular table. So this is the data we have just seen in Power Query. And here you can actually format this particular date to whatever you want by clicking on this particular format here. So you can change it to this particular short format, right? That is all. So that is good. So the next one again is actually this particular model view here, where we can create our relationships, specifically if we have lots of data table or lot of dimensional table whatsoever. So we create our relationship right here. So we're going to specifically, come here right now and see how we can actually make a very clean dashboard. The very first thing I want you to do for me now is go to view here. Click on view. So when you click on view, you see a lot of themes. So I'm just going to click on this and here you go. You have all the themes opened. So you can customize your own theme, but right here, we're going to use the default theme inside Power BI. So just click on this particular one. For example, you're going to have a dark theme. We don't want to use a dark theme. We want to use something that actually look more colorful, like this very one here. That is beautiful. This was the one we used to actually have this particular dashboard right here created, which we're going to actually create together right now. So going back here, that is the first step to do and have this up. If you don't really like how it says, you can reduce the opacity, or should I call it transparency, by coming to canvas here, and you can see you can have it reduced right here. You can just play around with this, but I'm just going to leave it at 100%. That is what I'll do. At 100%, we are good to go. All right, the next thing I do when I actually, import my data into Power BI is to make sure I create a disconnected table where I am going to actually house all my measures. So to do that, come here and click on this. Okay, here you go. Don't actually add anything on it to the table. Just change the table name. I'm going to just name this one to all measures. You can actually name yours anything you like. So I'm just going to click on load, and that will definitely load this particular new table for me right here. So it's actually a disconnected table. It doesn't have any relationship with our main table because all we need to do is just actually create our measures inside it. So we have all measures here. Okay, for the first time, what we're going to do is to actually make sure we start to actually create our measure. Before we create our measure, for those of you who are just some kind of new to Power BI, I'm going to show you what is an implicit measure and as well what is an explicit measure. Okay, if I come here now, I'm going to actually come to this particular part where it says add data to your visual. So click on it. You have a lot of visuals right here that you can use. So those are the default visual inside Power BI. If you want to get more visual, you can click on this three dot, open it up, and actually get more visual. That will take you to the marketplace where you can get some free visuals and some paid version from. But for this purpose of this very video, we don't need to actually get any other visuals, but just those ones here. Okay, I'm going to insert a card right now and demonstrate to you what an implicit measure and as well what an explicit measure is. So an implicit measure is actually when we go right here and drag either this particular discount bound, any column at all, just drag any column at all, have this closed first, so make sure you have this one selected, drag any column of your choice, maybe this one here into this particular part here. Okay, what it does is to give you the first discount bound right here. That is not what we want. So we want to actually get the numbers of transaction we have had over time. So before we do this, let us go back to this particular data view. And please take a look at what we have beneath here. It's actually 700 rows. So we're going to create an implicit measure for that. So to do that now, click right here. And what you do, you actually use a count. Use a count. So when you use a count, that counts the numbers of rows we have inside our data or our data table. So this is how many transactions we've had over time. So this particular kind of measure cannot be reused. This very measure cannot be reused. Again, that is why we call it implicit measure. So to create an explicit measure right now, what we need to do, we have to write the code ourselves. It's just a single line of code. Let's do that. So now that is when we start to use this one. Make sure you right click on this one here, and here you go. You can see where it says new measure. Just go ahead and click on new measure and wait for it to come up. So on this new measure, I'm going to type in here numbers of transaction, hash number, transaction equals to. Now, what function can we use to count the rows? It's not sum, it's not sumx, it's not count. But this time around, I'm going to use count rows. Here, when we wanted to create an implicit measure rather, we use count, but right now we are using count rows. So count rows will definitely go into the financial table and count how many rows we have right there. So I'm going to put my table right here. So if you look at it, it's looking for a table. Can you see it now? Count row, look for a table, count the number of rows in a table. Please, when you're actually using writing your docs, make sure you look at what you have right here to know what you need to provide for it. So here we have this. These are whole table. This one here that house the columns inside it. So hit your enter key, and this actually creates for you an explicit merger. So I'm going to show you the difference between the two, why we have to create this. So the next thing I do right now is to make sure I actually insert a new card. Inside this card, I'm going to push in the merger we've just created, and it gives me the same 700. So can you see this right now? That is beautiful. Okay, why do we have to create this? I talk about reuse. When I talk about reuse of merger, I'm actually talking about you trying to actually branch out from just 700 transactions to something much more different. So let's go here. I click on this view. I make sure I click here. And I want to see, okay, in this country, we have Canada. If I want to see how many transactions have we had in Canada right now, right in the merger, we need an explicit measure, not an implicit measure. That is the major reason why we have to actually create our measures ourselves. So I'm going to go back. And now to do that is for me to actually, first of all, bring in a table. Inside this table, I want to bring in the country. And as well, I want to bring in this transaction. And as well, this transaction here. Okay, I think we have equal transaction, 140 each. And we can actually bring in another one, which is we just getting either the date column here into this particular place, and make sure we just do this. We can, okay, sorry, we can't use this dates. We're gonna have to remove the date from here. So let us use this, for example. And now we can come in here and definitely use count. That should give us the same count. So that gives us the same count. But what we want to do right now is to make sure we single out how many transactions we have for Canada by creating our measure ourselves. So to do that right now, we have to come here, right click, and we say new measure. So on this new measure, what we can do, we can just say Canada transaction. So put our equal to here. So we have what we call calculate. Calculate function helps you to modify the filter context. So we use the calculate function. So with the calculate right now, let's actually assume that we have not created this. What we want to use is this. There is no way we can use this particular implicit measure. You can't call it because it's not even existing at all. We actually defaulted this to count by actually formatting it right here. It cannot be used. So the only one we can use right now is the visible one we have calculated right here. So what we can do is for we to actually say, okay, the measure of calculated called transaction. And this is exactly what you need to do. So with your comma, so you can actually add the filter that is going to be country. So that is going to be country. So where the country is equals to Canada. So we have to close the double quotation. Then we close our, calculate function. And that is just a single line of code we've written to help us do this. So right now, what I'm going to do is for me to still add it right here in this table. So I want to add this here. So it's giving me this. So I wouldn't want to do this because it's actually going to return the same thing over and over again. What I'm going to do now is just to make sure I bring this on a card. So here on the card, is going to return just 140 for me. Can you see it? So I believe by now you must have understood what, explicit measure and implicit measure is. So with explicit measure, you can actually, use the measure over and over again, like the way we've used the measure right here to return 140. And right here is actually 140. Okay, now we don't need all this actually. I'm gonna have them off. They're gone. So we have a blank slate now. We can get started. So the very first thing we have to do is to actually calculate how much sales we've made. That is the gross sales. So we have to still some kind of create it right here. So a new measure. Inside this new measure, we're gonna actually see what is the gross sales. So equals, and here we are going to use a function called SUMX. Okay, let me explain this. SUMX is like the sum if or some ifs inside Microsoft Excel that can actually, handle lots of criteria. So the SUMX can actually, multiply 2 columns or even more in a particular table, while the sum can only, sum a single column. So using the SUMX right now, let us look at what the SUMX is looking for. The SUMX is actually looking for a table. That is the table where the value you want to actually, sum is actually sitting, or you want to aggregate is actually sitting. So the table is something you know of, is actually, our financials. So we have a comma. After the comma is actually asking for the expression. What is expression? We want to actually see how much revenue we've made, or how much sales. Sorry, and revenue is the same thing. How much sales we've made, and that is going to be our unit. So unit sold, we want to multiply that by the price. That is the sales price. So remember, we have 2 prices here. We have the sales price and we have the manufacturing price. The manufacturing price is what actually brought that product from the manufacturer, how much we purchased it before we decide to sell the product to the end users. So we are using the sales price here. So do the nice formatting. If I hit my enter, this actually calculates my gross sales. So the next thing now is for we to calculate our net sales. I know you're wondering, what the heck are you talking about? Why would you say gross sales and net sales? Don't worry, I'm going to explain everything to you. Before we do that, let us go to new measure here. So right here, I'm going to actually create, calculate sum together the column where the discount I've given during the sales is actually sitting. So I'm going to just say total, sorry for that, total discount equals sum. So I've said earlier, sum can just work with a single column. So just provide a column for it. That is going to be the discounts. So we close this and we hit our enter. That is beautiful. So the next thing we're going to do right now is for we to actually calculate our net sales. To do the net sales right now, what we need to do is to insert a new measure here. Don't worry, we're going to see everything on the card and we'll see how they look like. So we just have to say net sales. So for the net sales, how does it go? For the net sales right now, we're going to actually say, so if you want to get all the measures you've created without mixing other tables to it, if I actually say gross now, once I actually click on J, you're going to see other functions comes with it. So if you don't want that to happen, what you can do is just to press this particular square bracket in your keyboard and all the measures you've created will definitely appear. So now we're actually going to have to take our gross sales here and subtract, the discount, which is total discount from it. That is going to be our net sales. So for we to understand this better, we have to look at the definition of net sales and the definition of gross sales for you to understand what is going on specifically if you are a newbie. So here we are on Google. It says gross sales is the total amount of sales without any deduction of either the tax, the expenses, or the discount given. So it's just the the unit sold multiplied by the unit price. So now we come here and we see what a net sales is. Net sales is the sum of a company's gross sales minus its returns, allowances, and discount. You get that? That's exactly what we have done right here. So we've just taken the discount we've given from the gross sales. Now that gives us our net sales. So how do we calculate our cost of goods sold? The cost of goods sold can be calculated by multiplying the units sold by the manufacturing price or cost price. So we don't need to do that from the scratch. Already we have this created. We can just copy this away from here to make things much more easier. So I'm going to actually insert a new measure. Inside this new measure, I'm going to paste in this one here, and all I need to change is this particular part where it says sales price. So I'm going to just type in manufacturing price here, and I hit my enter. That will give me an error or a warning. Yeah, we have to rename this, so we forgot. So here we're going to name this one cost of goods sold. That is going to be cost of goods sold, something like this. That is cool. So we hit our enter. So from here right now, we can now actually find what is the profit we've made in this business. So coming to do that, we just have to go to new measure. So we just try to say, okay, total profit equals, make sure you use the square bracket. Now we're going to take our net sales from our cost of goods sold, and we hit our enter key. That actually creates this for us. So we are good to go. So we've not actually done any formatting, which we have to do. If I definitely bring up a card and push it into this card right now, it looks just plain like this. So what we have to do right now, we have to format it. And to do the formatting, make sure you actually click on the measure you've created, and be on home or just step off, click on it again. So you are here. So be on this particular measure tool, and you can search for any, currency icon or logo, I don't know, that you're looking for right here. Depends on which country you're from. But if you like to use the United States, or English or dollar right here, you can use the dollar sign to actually get this formatted, and that gives you this. We don't want this particular, 2 decimal points. So if we want to get this away, what you can do is for you to come right here and make sure you have 0 here, and you hit enter. That actually takes that off for you. Nice formatting, right? So you have to do that to every single part of it, specifically if it has to do with value of currency. So make sure you use this. Now that we have created all our measures, the next thing is for we to start to actually create our visuals. So just have to feed your eyes again with what we have here. We have to create something exactly like what we have here. So to get started, let's get back there. So now we can see where it says insert. Click on insert, and right here you see elements. So we're going to use these particular shapes. So once I click on shape, you can see different shapes right here. So we're going to use this particular rectangle part, and I'm going to click on this and get this right here. So that gives us this. So we have to actually set a width and a height. To do that, we can come to this particular general, and now we can go to property. Then from property, we can actually fill in what we want to have for our height. So the height is going to be 95. That is the height. And the weight, we want to keep it at 198. That is going to be the width. Beautiful. So we've just gotten this card created, and that is nice. So we have to duplicate this particular card into 4 places. So I'm going to have to settle this one down here, and I have to just copy and paste it. So move this right here. But look at something weird that is happening now. This card actually has some border, or what do I call it? This white stain around it. So how do I remove this particular white from here? So to do that, make sure you have it highlighted, and you can go to style. So from style, scroll down a little bit and you see where it says border. Take that off. That doesn't go. So what do we do? Oh my goodness. Okay, I think I remembered. So click back on it. And make sure you click on general, then you click on effects and you turn the background off. That is gone. Beautiful. We'll have this. So we're going to leave it, the curviness, we love it this way. But if it is too curvy and you want to adjust it, all you have to do is to click back on it and you can go to shape here and we can just reduce it a little bit. So you can look at it here. So you can play around with what you have here. For example, if I have this, you can see how, it is like capsule, whatever. So here I'm going to reduce it a little bit, not very too much. I think I'm cool with this. I'm just going to make sure I add a bit of it. So take your time to actually format this particular part. That is where the fun is. So once you've gotten it rightly on this part, you are going to actually get everything right. So now we can have it duplicated. So we just copy and paste, copy another one, and then we can move it right here. So I'm going to move this one right to this particular edge here. And what I'm going to do now is this. I'm going to release this. So we have what we call white space. The white space is actually the space at this particular top level, this left-hand corner, the bottom area, and the right-hand corner here. If you look at this looks a little bit fainted inside the background because it's almost equal with this one. That is how I'm just going to have to some kind of change the color a bit to look just like this color we have right here. So what do? We go to this particular style and we click here and then we click on this particular more colors. So we have to change the hex code we have right here to 6D3A B1, and that changes the color for you. So now you can see this color will definitely appear very well. So the next thing we're going to do now is to actually just highlight all of them at the same spot. So we can now go to this particular format here, and from format we can go to align, and we want to align top. That gives you equal on the same line. Then we have to distribute horizontally. So that gives you the same spacing on each and every one of them. So good to go. So the next thing we're going to do right now is to see how can we add icons. I'm going to give you a website where you can go to get icons from. So the website is actually called, let's go there, click on this. So go to this particular place here. It's called mylogomaker.com. But if you can look at the maker here, I'm just going to do this. Let me zoom. So if you look at this, it's actually make, and it has no E, it's just R. So you just have to go to this website here. So going to this website, what you need to do is to scroll a bit down. Once you scroll down, you can see where it says logo maker. So, but the maker on the URL has no E, just remember that. So now click on it, give it some little while. So it's coming up. Now you have this two options. Instead you click on this particular logo you have right here, or you click on start my design here. Let us click on this logo here. So clicking on this and on this is actually the same thing. So I'm going to click on this. So it's loading. Now it has loaded finally. So what you need to do is to search for any icons you are looking forward to using in your own project. So here you have two options: create a new design or resume the previous saved work. So I don't know if you have any previous saved work, because I have, but I don't want to edit that. I want to use a new design. I'm going to click on that. And this is going to start touring you all around this particular website. Click on next, next, and finally click on done here. And that is beautiful. So the next thing again is for you to come here and make a search. Let us take, for example, I want to make a search for analytic. analytics. If I hit my enter, that gives me all the icons that has to do with analytics. So what do? If I need something like let's say money icon, so you have all that has to do with money icon. Let us take, for example, I want to use this. Just click on this. And what I'm going to do right now is to make sure I change this color we have right here. I don't want something dark as this. I will definitely go here and actually, change the color. If the color you're looking for is not actually among those particular colors you have right here, you can just, change the wheel. Can you see it? So change the wheel. You see the color from here start changing. But actually what I'm looking for is actually something like white or a gray color, just like this, not normal white, something like this. So once you've done this, the next thing you do right now is to make sure you come here where it says save logo. Click on it and that opens this for you. Then from there, you just go down a little bit and you can see where it says download low resolution PNG file. Don't bother about the low. It's actually high quality. They want you to pay. That is why they're doing this. So we're going to get everything 100% free, except you have money to spend. Of course, you can pay them some money because they need some money. All right, click on download. And from there, just come here and make sure you click on I accept and acknowledge the legal terms. So once you've done that, you can click here. Don't click on the text. If you click on the text, it's going to open the, the acknowledgement for you to read through what it is. So you don't need to do that. Make sure you just check this one and click here. So that helps you to download it. So we've just gotten the download right here. And now we have to go and pick it up from where we have it. So I'll go right to my Power BI desktop and I'm going to come here, go to insert. And right on insert, you can see where it says image. Click on it. And it's going to take you to your system. And now this is where I have my logo right in. I'm going to double click and actually have it right here. So here you go. So it's actually an image without any background color. So you can resize this to use. So you can resize it. Maybe I want to just do this, right? And I can just go ahead and place this right here. So this is beautiful. I love this. So this is what you're going to do to get every single icons you want to use for your work. So now I've just shown you how to get icons. Already I have those icons. To actually speed things up, I want to come here and grab the icons from here. Exclude this one because already I have the icon created. I want to get these 3 icons. So I'm going to copy those icons. I will go back here. And now it is time for me to paste those icons. Now we have the icons pasted right in here. So you can just make sure you shift things around to make sure you have, yeah, sure. So now we have the icons here. It is time for me to start to populate the cards with some values. So the first thing I'm going to do is to make sure I change what we have here. I'm going to change it to transaction. This gives me my total transaction. And for the transaction, I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this particular background because if I bring it right here, it looks kind of awkward. So all I would do is to go all the way back here. So it's actually going behind this. So no matter what you do, it's going behind it. So what you can do right now is to click on it and go to format. From there, you can go to bring forward and bring to front. And that brings it to front for you. So click on this. Just turn off the label, click on this and click on effects, then you turn off the background. That is exactly what it is. So now you can make it a bit smaller and have it right here. Move it up a little bit for you to give space for what? Give space for the text you're going to have right here. So click on it again and make sure you go back here and now click on this and change the color to a very bright white color. Like this. This is a stepping stone to a great dashboard. Okay, don't worry. The next thing we do right now is to add text to tell the story of what this particular value stands for. That is going to make us to actually use the text box from here. Under insert is where you can get the text box from. So once we've done that, okay, sorry, it's actually under home and we can get it under insert as well. inside the text box, we want to write transaction. So before you can format this, what you need to do is for you to make sure you actually highlight, the content inside the text box. So I'm going to just do Ctrl A to have it highlighted like this. And now I'm going to come here. I want to use something like 14 will be okay for me. And I think I like the font type here, and the size has been changed. The next thing I'm going to do right now is to change the color, and I'm going to use this 10% darker white. So we can't see it, so I'm going to have to resize this. Then we come down to here under the effect here, and we turn off the background. That is beautiful. So we can still highlight the content inside and make sure we centralize it. So we can now move this a little bit and now move it from there and have it right at this particular spot. So this is the first step to take to do this. So you might still want to move it a little bit at the top. Something like this. So once you're done creating this, what you can do now is just to make sure you select it. And I might want to just Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V to paste it. And that will make me to move it right to this particular spot here. And I'll do the same thing, Ctrl-V again. I'll move this one to this spot here. So we do under Ctrl-V again. And I will move this one to this particular part here. Okay, quickly, we can fill in this. So the first thing I'm going to do right now is to turn this particular one, this text right here, to total cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold. And what I'm going to do now is to click on this one. Then we go ahead and just select this, then grab the cost of goods sold. That is a very high number. So what can we do? We have to actually format the cost of goods sold to something much more smaller. So what we can do now is to go right here and click on this particular call out value. And we're going to put this on 25. That is beautiful. So after that, what we can do now is some kind of like bringing this down a little bit. Yeah, nicely done. So right here, what we need to have here is actually gross revenue. Or gross revenue or gross sales. We can have gross sales here. So gross sales, nicely done. So here we go, deselect this one and have the gross sales here. So we don't have to repeat the same thing we've done before now. So we just have to make sure we use the format pointer. The format painter does the work, so just bring it down. And this one again is gonna be our net sales. So here we just select this one and bring in our net sales here. And we do the same thing. We just copy and we have this here and we just bring this down a little bit. So now we have to type net sales on this. So net sales, that completes our card at the top level. So now this dashboard is not actually clear yet on what it is. So we want to tell people or the end users that this particular dashboard is actually for financial or whatever. What we can do is just for you to some kind of go into the text box here, click on insert. Under insert, you can see the same text box. You can just click on it and you can write what you want to write right here. But why do we have to do this? When we have an already formatted text box, all we just have to do is just for we to actually click on this, make sure you highlight it, Ctrl-C and Ctrl-V to copy and paste. Then we just keep this right here. Now we have to get to format what we have inside it to financial dashboard. So Ctrl-A to highlight it, and the next thing you do is to make sure you change this one to 20. And we're going to use the different font. We're going to use the bold one here. So nicely done. Then I want to use a bright color, which is going to be this white here. And now I can move this one to this particular area. So what I do next is for me to actually copy and paste it. Ctrl C and Ctrl V to paste. Then we move this down. So here is gonna be something different. I'm gonna use example. So example, profit analysis. So profit analysis. So I can actually expand it. So now I have to highlight this particular part just for me to give a specific formatting to it. So I have to actually get it highlighted. And the formatting I want to do to that is for me to actually put this on 12. So I'm going to put it on 12. And now we have to go ahead and highlight everything. We change the color to something like this. Then from there, we can reduce it. And we can now move this and make sure we size them together. So I want to move it up a little bit. Make sure you just click on the sphere, move it a bit, and that creates this for you. This is actually taking shape. I love it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have just gotten this created. We are actually getting very much more deeper into this. The next thing we're going to do right now is to make sure we actually add a line chart. And inside this line chart, I'm going to actually open it up a little bit. So inside this line chart, what I'm going to do is for me to actually show my profit by month and as well by quarter. So here we have to create a date table. This is where things get much more interesting. So what I'm going to do now is to click on this particular data view. And from there, we're going to create a quick date table. So we have to create, just click on this particular table tool. We can see where we have new table right in. So click on it. All right, here we have a table. So what we can do now is this. I want you to see what I'm going to do very well. So what we can do now is for we to some kind of change this one into a calendar. So equals shift enter, indent it by shift enter, and we can just tab key. Sorry, the tab key doesn't work. What happens? Okay, no problem. So we're going to use what we call calendar auto. So calendar auto actually does scan the date column inside our data table and returns the minimum and the maximum date for us. That is what the calendar auto does. Let us try it and see. Calendar, and here we have calendar auto. So I'm just going to go ahead and close it. And if I hit my enter, that actually scans through all the date column and returns the date from the minimum to the maximum. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do right now is for me to actually format this. Click right here and make sure you format it using the short format. All right, here you have it. Here's your calendar. The next we're going to do right now is to make sure you add some columns to this particular, table. There are different ways to do this, but what I'm going to do right now is to actually create it in one single measure. Here we go, shift enter. I just want to add columns here at the top. So after doing that, you can actually come down here and have a comma here, shift enter, indent it. So this time around, what we're going to do is this. I just want to do this. I'm going to have to use the tab key to move it. So I want to keep this one moved as well with the tab key to move it. So one more time, move this. Then we can now come here, shift enter, then the tab key to start writing our column. So the first column I just want to add now is actually my year column. So which is this year? And to add the year column, this is just the column name we've just written. I have my comma here, and it's actually asking me for the expression. It's going to be my year function. And I have to provide it with the date, this particular date column here. So it's going to be date. So here is the date column. Just use your up arrow to get into it. So here we go ahead and close this. Shift enter to go into the next line. Enter again, enter again. I can go ahead and close this. I'll keep a space for the next one. So what I need to do now is hitting enter. And that actually gives me all the years that we have here. So now we can see we just have 2 years of data. As I've told you, scanning through the minimum and the maximum and return your date for you. All right, so we need to actually add some couple of columns, for example. So before you add any column, make sure you have a comma, which actually tells Power BI that you want to add in your column. Shift, enter, and here we just want to actually add a month. So month, close it. And now to actually add this month, we have to use a function called format. So format here, inside the format, we just have to provide it the date column. The date column, you just up arrow twice. That actually selects this for you. So put a comma. How do you want to format this? So inside double quotation, we just want to format this with MMM, which is the short form of it. So we can go ahead and close it and hit enter. Let's see what we have. So that returns from January down to December for you. But let us look at how this data is going to look like when we put it to use. So I'll come here and I'm going to use a different one. So let us create a table here. So we create a table here. Inside this table, I want to get the month here inside the calendar. So we have a calendar here. So I just want to drag the month inside it. So if you look at it, it doesn't start from January, February, March, April down to December. It's actually not like that. So what we can do now is to add a special column to have it sorted. To add that special column, what we can do is to go back here. And now we come here, comma to enter a new column, shift and actually enter. So we just call this one here, month number. So before equals, before we do anything, we close this and comma. So here we just say month. So it's just month. So we provide the date column. So we close this and we hit enter. So that is good. So we already have it here. So what we can do now is to just make sure we actually select this column here, which is our month column. So go to sort by column here and sort it by the month number we've just created. That actually solves the problem for us. So now we can go ahead and take a look at what it is and how it looks like. So beautiful. It starts from January down to December. So we don't actually need it. We can actually have it removed. Then we go back to this place again. So we need to add more columns like weekday. So shift enter. We just type weekday here. So we close it, comma. And for we to get our weekday, we have to use the same format again. Date. Here we go. Comma. So DDD, if you are actually used to Excel, you know all this. We need to add one more, shift enter, and that is going to be our week number. Week number, we do this, comma again. And for the week number, what we are going to use for the week number is actually weekday. Weekday. So we close it. So after this again, the other thing we need to add is actually the quarter. We want to add our quarter. So comma, and that should be the final column we're going to add. Shift enter. And we do this, we just write QTR for quarter. And we go ahead and close this. And what we're going to use for quarter is actually format again. Format, date, do this, comma. And we use, is it / or backward slash? I don't know what it is. So just do this and you can see the slash in your computer at the top of enter. You see it right there. So you have to add 2Q and do this. So you close it, and this time around, once you hit enter, that gives you all the columns we have just added. Beautiful. So we have created our date column, or the table rather. So for the weekday here, we have to sort it. I want to just click on this and sort by week number. And definitely after I'm done with this, I just have to actually click on table 2 here and you can see where it says mark as date table. Click on it and mark this as date table. So once we are done with this, the next thing we're going to do right now, so just click here and just choose date. That validates it for you. Click on OK. So we are done from here. The next thing we're going to do right now is to make sure we go to this particular, model view for we to create our relationship. So we can just close this. We can close this. Click on this. We don't need this. We can actually have it hidden. So what this does is to actually hide this. Not just this. I'm going to show you more of it. So here we are. So I can connect this particular date. So it doesn't allow me. So I'm going to connect this one here to this. Doesn't matter which one you drag first into here. That creates one-to-many relationship for me. Working on it. So yeah, one-to-many relationship. And if I just, look at this now, we are not going to use this month number. We're not going to use this particular week number here. So if I go to my view here, you can see we have them appearing here. So we have to have them hidden. So what we can do is to make sure we click on this and just have this one closed. So we can come here, just make sure you click on this eye. So that turns it off. So we come here as well. We click on this one as well. That turns it off as well. So when we get back here now, what do we see? We have just few columns. So any columns you're not going to use, please make sure you have them hidden. So it is time for we to create our, first visual here. Very, very important to create our first visual. So in order to create our first visual, what are we going to do? We have to make sure we know what we want for the first time. So what we want is profit trend by month, and we want to have a drill down to quarter, right? So to do that now, we have already inserted a line chart. So I want to actually pick my profit. That is my total profit here. After that, I will definitely close this now. I will go to the calendar and I pick the month. And as well, I pick the quarter and drag the quarter beneath it. So this actually creates this for me. So I have to make sure I move the month to the top. So I think, yeah, something like this is okay. This is exactly how it looks. But this doesn't really work well. Don't worry, I'm going to show you how to get around this. We have some of it that are some kind of a negative number, like this one. We want it to look different. That was why you saw me formatting it like this. Can you see? The negative part is actually in red. So this is not actually possible in Power BI for you to have a default formatting that will definitely do this for you. So we have to create some merges to actually help us to do this. How do we do that? Don't worry, just keep your calm. So what I'm going to do now is to go back here and have this formatted. So what we can do is to actually change the card's, color. So we have to change the card color, and to change the card color, where to go. You have to actually go to your format here. Then from there, we click on general. Then from there, we click on this particular one. Then we now click on this one here. So if I go to more, I can have this customized from white to the color I desire. So let me use 6334A2, like 6334A2. This is the color I have when I do that. So nice one. So we have this color. So we can go with this. I can just go here now. Where is it? This one here. And now I have to change this one to profit trend by month. That's going to be profit trend by month and what? And quarter. QTR for quarter. So now we have to change the color. So we have to make sure the color blends with the background, and this is the color we want to use for it. So if you're not cool with this, you can just change the font type. Oh, why is it taking time? So we just have to scroll down to select this, and that changes the font type for you. All right, we are done with this. So we go to the visual area here. So we have the x-axis, which is this one here. So make sure you open it up and turn off the title of the x-axis. So then you change the format to something that will appear so much cool. And I love this. So after that, now we have the y-axis, which is this one here. I don't want to see it at all. So I want to click on this y-axis here. You scroll up a little bit. So step off and step back in. So you click here, and here you have your y-axis. So you turn this off, or turn the title off. Then from there, you can now turn the y-axis off, and that is gone. So you can see this is making a lot of sense. So we can now drill down to just quarter, or you can just go to quarter and month, or you can decide to just go to month. Either of it will definitely work. So you can see how it works. But one thing is certain, I don't actually like this. I want to do something different. So I don't want to use this chart to do this. But before we can do this, we have to create some merges. What are those merges? Let us do that. So click here and now close this. You have to open the merger down. So just right click to create a new merger. Inside this merger, what we're going to do is for we to some kind of create two different merger for one single chart and see how we can actually bring these two mergers together and create the positive and negative one. So the first one I'm going to create is actually profit negative. So I'm going to just name this one to profit negative. I think negative is spelled as E, right? Negative. So I put on my equal sign. So right here, I'm going to introduce you to what we call variable. This is going to make us to actually get what we want with ease. So variable is actually going to be So we're going to do var for variable, that is var. So shift. So you can actually name your variable anything you want to name it. I'm going to name it v price or v profit. So v profit equals, so inside this v profit here, I want to store something in, and what I want to store is actually my profit. So I'm going to actually get my profit, which is my total profit, and store it in here. That is my first variable. The second variable is going to be another var, and here we say v. That we're going to call this one v result. V result equals. So inside this v result, what we want to do here is to use if condition to check if the profit is actually less than 0. So if it's less than 0, return profit, else return 0. So let's do that. So I'm going to say if here. So if, let's see what you're doing very well. So if v profit, which is this one here that we stored inside here, if v profit now is actually less than 0, I want you to return me v profit, else just return 0. And I'm going to close that, shift enter, and I'm going to return what? Return the variable v result. Here we go. So I have returned the variable v result. So what I'll do next is to Ctrl A and Ctrl C to copy. So once I've done that, I'm going to hit my enter key, and quickly I have to format this before we definitely create the second one Then use the $sign here to format it and take off any extra decimal by turning this auto into 0. So 0, hit your enter key to actually, commit it. So once you've done this, the next thing we're going to do right now is to create a new measure. So this new measure is going to be profits positive. So we've just created a negative one. So we're going to create the positive one right now. So I'm going to paste the one I've just copied right here. So here is going to be profits positive. So profit positive. So I might not want to have this here. You can do this. So you don't have to necessarily have this here. You can return a Ctrl X. And so you can just return this here. It's going to do the same work. So and this time around, I'm going to say this is greater than 0. So we use greater than. So that is all we just need to do. You can see two different ways to write this. Hit enter. I'm going to show you the two things I've done. So they're going to return the same thing for me. Oh, I think we have an issue here. Return variable result. So we don't need to have that variable here again. So what we can do now is to actually get this off. So we just get this off. We just return if this is actually this. So it's going to still work the way it should be. Then have this formatted. Then you just have to make sure you take off the extra decimal with 0 here. That will definitely work. Okay, once you've done that, the next thing we're going to do right now is to make sure we actually, okay, let's see this. So we have this one here that has two variables. So it's the same thing with the one with just a single variable and return this with if. So let's see if this is actually going to work. So the very first thing we do is to click on this and make sure we remove this particular total profit from here. And now we have to get our negative profit and positive profit into this particular axis here. And we get this one as well inside it. So it looks like this. So this time around, this chart will not be ideal to be used. So what I need to do is for me to change it to this particular area chart. And it looks something like this. So we can format it to what we want. So let us look at that. So I'm going to have to bring this one down. Or you can just interchange it. Anyone you want to keep, it's all good. So it doesn't really matter. So what we can do now is for we to actually use this very color we have for this card here for this particular one that is actually positive. So to pick the color, we can come here and come here. Then we click here and we copy the code. We step off, we click back in. Now we are about to format it. So to format it now, just scroll down a little bit. So you see where it says line. So scroll down again. You now see where it says colors. So you can now see the positive one. We want to give it this particular color for positive, right? So positive and negative has actually carried the same kind of color. So we have to change the color of this very one now. So to change the color, just make sure you click on this one, click here, and here we're going to use E7553D. So it's going to be E7553D. So here we go. We have this color used. But there is one thing I'm not really cool with is the legend here. So we just have to make sure we scroll all the way back to the top. So and turn off the legend. We don't actually need the legend to show. So the next thing I don't like is when we have no value, it's giving us a flat line and it's actually giving us 0. So we want to actually block this particular flat line we have right there. How could we do that? All right, so just click on this particular, analytic icon here. So go to this particular y-axis constant line and you have to add. Once you click on add, you can see a little dash here. You might not see it, but I can see it. So we just have to actually click on this edit. So we have to put 0.1 there. So with 0.1, we click on line and we change the color and we make the color this very color here. Does that really work? Okay, I'm trying to see. So as you can see, it seems not to work. So let us actually make sure we put it on 0% and see, then what if we return this one to 100%? So what we are going to do now is for we to, okay, let's say we use something like this. Okay, we're trying to get this color away. So it seems not to work. Let us actually, still, if we have it right here, we can see the dashed line. So we just have to drag it to the end here. And what we can do now is to scroll down a little bit. You can find this particular style here. So we have to put it on solid. So put it on solid. So solid. So now we have it on 0%. So that covers the line for us. Can you see it? So we have it on 100%, doesn't cover it. So we can now drag it to 0% and covers the line. So we only have this particular color to show up when we actually have a drop of it. So now we want to make sure the negative is formatted. I think we didn't do this. So we just hover over it and that is negative. Then we do the positive one. So now you can see when I hover over it, it shows me that profit negative. So you can customize it beyond what you have as profit negative. So you can see when we have it as positive, it says profit positive. You can definitely change how it looks for you to give people much more way to actually dive to what it is that we have right here whatsoever. But this is exactly what you should do to actually have this created. So for the purpose of our space management, we just have to come here and we can go to general and we go to property here, and we have to actually use 253 here. 25 that is going to be 253. That is for the height, and for the weight we're going to use 556. So that is it. So we've just actually gotten this one created already. So we can just move it a bit closer to this one here. And that is the first thing we have to do. So now we're not done yet. What if we actually get this one, copy and paste it and drag it all the way down right here? So we have it here. So now that we have this here, I can actually make it a bit smaller. So what I'm going to do now is to actually get away this particular, month and quarter away from here. So we want to get this away from here. So all I need to do is just to go to my calendar. So here we have our calendar here. So we're going to pick our weekday and bring our weekday here. So we have our weekday now. So we're going to use this particular stacked column chart. And now we are going to actually get away all these two. They don't really work. So what we need to do now is to bring our main profit here. That is total profit. So this is actually another formatting entirely. So let me just give you a full screen to see. So we have this drop down. So we want to actually format it the way it will definitely look like something very professional. So to do that now, we have to actually get to create a new measure inside our measure table. So we're going to create a new measure. So new measure here. Inside this new measure, what we are going to do is to actually use a switch function to switch different color. So I'm going to call this one conditional formatting. So conditional formatting, so equals shift down. And we're going to use a variable to do this as well. So var and variable profit, just like before. So equals, and I'm going to bring my total profit here. So total profit. So shift down to the next line. So we have to return this. So I'm going to return this. So inside the return, I'm going to use a switch function. switch function. Switch function works like if, like nested if. So true. So if is just like if. I'm gonna go to the next line, and now I'm gonna say if variable profit here is actually less than 0, comma. If that is the case, I want to actually use a particular format. So I'm going to use hash. So you can type the same number I'm typing here now. That's going to be 8250C4. 50C4. Then we close it. So else, go down. V profit is actually greater than. Okay, I think this one is if it is greater than 0. So this one is going to be if it is less than 0. So, comma. So I want you to give me this particular kind of color. So we just have to put our hash here. And that's going to be E7553D. So E7553D. Then we close this. And that is all. So shift enter to actually get this closed. That closes our switch for us. That is all we have to do. So hit your enter key and that should work. So this is what we're going to use for the rest of the chart, this particular conditional formatting we've just actually created right here. Okay, the next thing we do is for we to actually make sure we click on the chart in question. So once we click on the chart, we go right here. And we go to this particular columns, and instead of us to change this color to maybe any of this color here, we don't do that. What we do is to click on this particular FX here to go into the conditional formatting. So right now we have to remember the name of our measure, which is conditional formatting, right? So we come to this place here and we say field value. So you go here and you go to your all measure, and you pick the conditional formatting from here, and that is all. You click on OK. Let's see what we have. Can you see? That marks this for us with this particular, is it orange or red? I think this is orange, wherever. So now can you see it? The number we have right here is actually, a negative number, and the positive number carries this particular color. So this is exactly what it is. So if you're still watching, please, your like and your comment is very important to this channel. Go ahead and like and leave a comment, share to your friends. So now we have to actually make sure we set the what? We set the height and the weight of this particular chart right here as well. So make sure you click on the chart, come here, then click on property, and here we're going to set the height to 299. And we set the weight to 299 as well. 299, so something like this. All right, after that, Ctrl+C and Ctrl+V to paste it. So Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V, copy and paste. So remove that and have this right here. So you can just make sure you close this by doing this. That closes this one right here for you. And now we don't actually need any of this here. What we can do now is to go all the way back here and remove this one. Then all we have to keep is just the profit. So we're going to have to bring in our year into this particular x-axis, and we have to use this. Okay. So now here we go. Here we go. Here we go. We are going to remove the conditional formatting from this one here. So we go to slices, and I think that conditional formatting should be gone already. Why do we have this? So let's just change the color to something like this. Okay, not this one. This one we're gonna maintain the same color. So we come here and we're gonna choose to use this particular color here. Yeah, for this. So now next is for we to close this and go to the data label, and we go to value. We scroll down a little bit So we have to change the color to this, and we can make it bigger if need be. So we can decide to leave it like this. So what do we have is, where is the legend? So we have to make sure we go ahead and turn on the legend, and we bring the legend to the bottom area. So now we can actually change the text color of the legend to something like this. That pops. So we have to take the title off. That gives us this. Nicely done. So now for this here, we have to say profit by year. So we come here, we go into this. So it's going to be profit by sales year. So this one we profit by weekday, profit trend by weekday. So by weekday, that is beautiful. All right, the next thing we're going to do right now is to come here and copy this very chart, this very card from here. So Ctrl-V to paste it. I'm going to come here and drop it right in here. So the very first thing I do is to make sure I some kind of actually check the height and the width. So come here, go to this particular, property. And for the height, we're going to use 567 for the height. And for the weight, 198 will be okay, which is the same weight with this one, will be okay. And that is all we have to do. So next thing we do right now is for we to bring in the icon. I've actually shown you where to get your icon from. So you are not actually restricted to this kind of icon. In fact, you can just, go to that particular website and download the icons you want to use for this. So I want to go to the previous one and just copy the icons I have there. So I have this icon, I have this icon, and I have this icon here. So I'm going to go ahead and Ctrl-C to copy. And we go all the way back here and we just do Ctrl-V, and that pasted this for you. So once we've gotten this pasted, the next thing we're going to do right now is for we to actually go to insert shapes, and we click on this. So we're going to have to bring it down. Yeah, something like this. So I have to change the color. So I'll go here, I'll click on this. I will definitely select this one. Then that will definitely make me to have it right here. Then I can just reduce it a little bit. Maybe I want it to be a bit wider. I might keep it at this. Okay, yes, okay, keep it at this. The color is not very much cool with me. I want to use something much more. Think I will go with this, but not really cool with it. Okay, let us change the color. Go back to it, and let us use something much more cool. Okay, I think I'm cool with this. So I just have to Ctrl-C and Ctrl-V to drop it, and I have to bring this down and have this right at this spot to divide it. That is beautiful. So the very first thing we do is to actually, copy this particular text box from here. Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V to paste it down. I'm going to bring this down here. Then I will adjust this. So inside it is Ctrl-A. I will definitely go ahead and say total quantity sold. So for this quantity here, I'll double click it and actually bold it. So once I'm done with that, I can just copy and paste it. So next I'm going to drag this and have it right here. So on this one here, I'm going to say total discount. So let's just step off and get back in. Ctrl-A. Oh, I don't know what is wrong. Okay. I want to take this off. take it off. So now I'm going to type in my discount. So total discount. So double click on the discount itself and just bold it. So that is better. So Ctrl V again to paste it down. And we can pick it up and have it right here. So right on this, what I'm going to do is to just get this one away. And for this one, I highlight it alone and I type in my location. So location, that is beautiful. So starting from this, we're going to have to pick this one here. This is how we want to look. Ctrl C and Ctrl V to paste it. So right here, we drop this, we open it up. So we actually remove what we have inside it. So we bring in the quantity sold. So this time around, you can actually use your implicit measure because we're not going to branch out from here. The reason why we create explicit measure is when we want to reuse it. So we can go to this here. Let us actually collapse this and we have this opened. So we can go to our unit sold here and have it in. That gives us the unit sold. Can you see it now? But I'm not really cool with this. I want to make sure this actually pops out very well. So I will come here and I will change the color from here to white. So that's actually look more glow, right? Okay, I think it's actually the same thing. So the next thing is for me to copy and paste it and I move the copied one inside here. So once I've done that, now it's going to be my discount. So click on this part and take it off. So you go to your measure and the total discount you calculated using measure will be in here. So we paste on that one again. And this time around, we're still going to use another, implicit measure to do this again. We don't have to do that because we don't have to create a measure for this because we're not going to actually use it for anything. So I'm taking this off. So this time around, we want to get how many countries do we sell to. So I'll bring this here. It actually defaults to the first country. So what I'll do now is this. If we can see this, we have distinct count and we have normal count. So we are going to use distinct count. What distinct count does is come in here and go into this particular, close this. So go into our transaction here, go into this column and ignore any repetitive of Germany and just count Germany as one. So it's just going to count the distinct just like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So all the duplicates will be ignored. That is what that does. So you can write a distinct count as a function inside a measure to create the same thing. But why do we need to do that when we can just do this and have what we want? Okay. All right. So here now, I think I will definitely just some kind of bring this down a little bit to close this gap here. Is too much. All right. The next thing again is for me to actually, I'll create another card here. So I'm going to use this particular card. So all I do is Ctrl C and Ctrl V to paste it. I'll have this right here. So for this card I have here, the curveness might be too much. If you want to change it, you know what to go to this part here and just reduce it a little bit. That reduces this for you. You can see the curveness is reduced a bit. So right now for this new card we have here, we have to change the height and the weight. So we need to go to properties and from there we go to this particular height and we make the height 153, 1, 5, and 3. Then we make the weight to be 1, 2, 5. That is exactly what it is that we want to use. So you can see we have the card here. So we can bring the card closer to this one a bit. So just move it. This is what we have here. So inside here now, what we want to have is actually the profit. So we already have an icon for it. I'm just going to go ahead and pick it up. Make sure you find your own icon to be used. Ctrl C to actually get the icon. And Ctrl V to paste the icon right here. So after pasting it, what next is for we to actually get this from here. Ctrl C, Ctrl V to paste it. Then we move it right here. And what we do is to say total profit. So profit, make it smaller and adjust it to sit right. Okay, nicely done. So we can just move this up a little bit. Just adjust it. The next thing again is for we to actually get this one. Ctrl C and Ctrl V to paste. So we move it down here. But this is not what we want to use here. So what we want to use here is actually the total profit. So we get away this and the total profit comes in. And we're going to use something like this. But I don't like this color. I want a different color. I can't remember the color I have used in the previous one. What I want to do right now is to go back here and pick the color from here. So click on this. So I'm going to show you. So we click on selections. Here we go. Okay, I think this is the color here, 5ECBC8. So I can type or I can actually copy it. If you're good at remembering something very smartly, you can definitely do that. So I'm going to copy the same number and have it on this. Click on this here. So that is the number I want to use for this. And now we will come here and use the same number right on this one. So let us go to these slices. Here, you change it to this color. Nicely done. So for this one here, I want to change the font type to something that looks more bold, just like this. That pops. Nicely done, right? Okay, beautiful. The next thing again is for me to actually, get this same card we have here. So Ctrl C, Ctrl V to paste, and I'm going to take it and have it here. So we just have to bring it down and fill it up to this level. So for the curveness is too much, I have to reduce it a little bit. So that gives us this. I think I love this. So our dashboard is taking shape. Very, very good shape. So I have 2 more charts to be created before we definitely create this finally. So I'm going to actually copy this very chart from here with format, Ctrl V to paste it down and move the one you've actually, copied to here. Maintain the space, the white space. So we just have to fill it to this end. So now, what is next? I am going to go and bring in my segment. So I have to take off the weekday and I have to look for where we have the segment. So if you can't find the segment, you can always make a search, but here we go, we have the segment. So this chart is not really cool to actually visualize this kind of data. So we're going to change it to this particular stacked bar chart. And this is exactly what we have. So because we have that particular conditional formatting on this one, that is how it is some kind of able to actually format it using the conditional formatting we've used to actually format it when we created this particular chart. So the next one again is for we to actually get this one copied and paste this one and move it all the way down. So we can reduce this, maintain the white space. And here I'm going to click on it, come right here. The next thing we do is for we to click on this and change the title. The title is going to be profit by segment. Profits by segment. So, correct. And this one here, we're going to change it to be profit by discount band. By discount band. Here we go. So now we're going to have to go here and take off this particular segment, and we look for that discount band here, and we bring it in. So we change the chart to this very chart here. This is what we have. So can you see this now? So we have just created something similar to what you've just seen as a finished product right here at your presence. All right. So I want to just make sure I take this up a little bit. Click on this one for the white space beneath it to be really, cool. All right. What is left? So we just go ahead and make sure we bring in the data bars. We change the colors. So we use the value. So scroll down a little bit, and we change the color to this color. Yeah, I think that is not too bright. So let us use this. No. I think that is gonna be. Let us go with something like this. That is cool. So we do the same thing to this one here as well. Click here and click back here. So we just click on this. So we have to make sure it shows by changing the color. So everything shows. And we do the same thing to this one as well. So we turn on the data bars. So we have to some kind of use under here. Use this. And that shows it. So now it is time for we to add a slicer. So we're adding a slicer for country. And the country is this. So we need to format our slicer. So I'm going to come here. I will click on this and definitely use a drop down. Okay, nicely done. So I'll just make it this way. I'll have my country here. So right here, we come back to this part. So here it says country. I'm going to write here select country. So that is what we have there. So quickly you come here, you click on this and turn off the background. That is beautiful. So we can just leave it this way. So if I have it up and look at what it says, I see a white, here. I just want to have the same color I have for my chart. What I need to do is to copy the color from here. In case I don't remember the color code, just come here and just do Ctrl+C to copy. So now it is time for me to format this. The very first thing I do is actually go to this part here and click on this particular header. For the header, I change the font to something like this. That shows up. Not very well. I just wanted it to actually be this way. So we go to the value area. And for the value, we want to go for the background of the value. So we click on this and we paste in what we've just copied. Here we go. So we have that. If I click inside it now, so we have black here. If I click on filter, it does filter, but I cannot see what I have just filtered. So what do? We have to actually change it. So make sure you click on it and you go back right here. So you click on value. So you scroll down and you go to this. Okay, here is it, the font color. You choose to use something that will definitely pop out. That is this. So can you see that right now? So here we go. So we can just move this up a little bit and resize it right here. So here is exactly what it is. If I click on it now, it shows this, and I can choose different country, and you see that our chart will actually get to update based on what country we have selected. If nothing is selected, we have it to be defaulted to the full values for every single country. Okay. This is what we have. So there is one thing I want to help you to learn. That is going to be this here. Let us look at what we have on it before we start creating that. So now if you come here now, it says Germany contributed more to gross profit with 3.2 million US dollars. The lowest performing country is France with 1.8 million US dollars. But this is not going to respond to whatever filter that is actually coming from here. You get it? So it's only going to actually has effect when we actually click any of those particular visual filter. As you can see, it's actually changing based on the visual filter we actually placed on it. Can you see it now? So this is what it is. We are not going to write any DAX to actually have this done. All we need is for we to actually just write it and use the Q&A to get what we want. Let's get started. I love this. I have to pick it up from here. Ctrl C to pick it up. And Ctrl V to paste it. And we can actually have it here. Okay. Nicely done. Okay, time to begin this. Right now, we don't have the use of this and this. So we can always close it to make sure we give space to what we are doing. So the very first thing we do is to actually get a text box. Okay, so we've just gotten a text box here. Inside this text box, what do we want to have? So inside the text box right now, I will definitely click here where it says value. So once I click here under the value here, I am going to actually say country with top total profit. So we should see a result. So okay, now we have it. So you can just wait for a while, it will generate the result for you. Here, Germany has the total highest profit. I'm going to click on save. And that comes here. For you to get this right, we have to be very, very, specific about this. I want to actually select country. And what did we do? Do we still have it selected? No, deselect this. Come on. We have, let us open the visual area here. I think we've messed things up. Oh, just clear this off. Sorry for that. We can recreate this again. Let us turn this one into a table. So now we can bring in a country and I will push in the profit. So I will definitely make sure I crank it up for we to verify what you're doing. Let us have it at 20. Okay, nicely done. So I'm going to actually drag this down here. Here we go. So now we have gotten this. We said Germany. So we have to actually place, some text. So we're going to say Germany, country, bolted. So let me highlight this and some kind of make it like 16. 16, there we can see it better. So contributed. So contributed more to gross profits with. Now it is time for we to get the value right here. How much does it contributed? That is what we want to get right now. So I'm going to actually come here again. So click on this particular plus. Once you do that, please don't override the previous one. If the previous one is still here, you can click on add on this particular plus. It will add a new one for you. So it wouldn't override the previous one. So right here, I'm going to type in total top profit or top total profits country. So here we go. So you wait for the result. That should give you total top 1. Let us use top 1. Top 1. Okay, that returns the value for you. So you have to put 1 before it returns it. So it's something technical. We click on OK. That gives you the value. So we can highlight and still format it to keep the formatting 16. So now here we go. So if you verify this right here to see if this is true, so we have to come here and sort this from the highest to the lowest. As you can see, Germany is actually the top, country that contributed more to profit, and this is the value, and it's correct right here. So we are still creating this. We are not done yet. So what do we do next? So next is for we to some kind of step into a new line. So shift enter, that takes you to a new line. So inside this new line, we're going to say the lowest performing country is space, and now you click on plus again. So this time around, always make sure if you have the previous search you made here, make sure you don't clear it. Click on this, else it will clear from the text box. So now I'm going to come here now and type in, I'm going to type in, what do I type in here? I'm thinking, okay, I think what can give me now is going to be me asking question, which country has the lists. So which country has the least total profit? So here we have a suggestion. So it's France. I'm going to click on OK. That inserted France for me. So France has the lowest profit. So what I can do now, I want to actually have the value. I'm going to put a space. I'm going to type in with space again. So you now click on actually this here, and you need to add another one. So that is going to be just make sure you craft what could actually give you that value you want to actually get. So here we're going to say country with the least profit. That was what we actually created. So country with the least profit. Total, it's going to be total profit. So it has returned the value for us. So let us go ahead and verify if this value is true. So all I need to do now is to make sure I just use Ctrl A and I put everything on what? Put everything on 16. After putting everything on 16, I centralize it. So I just go ahead and do this right here. And I change this to white. Yeah, I think white to be the best color to be used here, but not the pure white. So I'm just going to go with the one with 10% darker. So I'm going to do this. So open it up. So it is time for me to move this away from here and have it at this very spot. So we just open it up a bit and make sure it covers this place up. So we can't see what we have inside it now. What we can do is to actually make sure we go to effects and we turn off the background. That shows what we have here. So we have to make sure we make the most important part of it stand out. Once you have your cursor here blinking, hold your shift key and use the arrow to left. That highlights that part for you. So you can actually make it bold. You get it? Make it bold and make it italic. And you can change the color to this very color right here. So if I step off from it now, I should see this. So this is exactly what I want to get on this one here. So once you actually place your cursor at the front of it, shift left arrow to highlight that part. So you select the same color for it, and you put it on bold, and you have it on italic. So now for the value, make sure you have your cursor blinking, or you can have it highlighted like this, make it bold. And now we're going to use white color for this one here to make it stand out. And we do the same thing to this one. Double click. Don't double click inside it, else it's going to open the edit for you. Just behind it, right? Just double click at the empty space close to it, and you put it on bold. You come here. So we have to make sure the white is this very white here. Click on this, and this white here. So let's just step off from it. And now look at it. France has 1.8, and we have the same 1.8 right here, and it's formatted with dollar, a number formatting. That is okay. We don't actually need this. I'm going to get it off. So that is gone. So please, you need to spend some minute time like formatting this. I don't really want to spend a lot of time to do this, but when doing this yourself, you have to spend some time to get this formatted, right? So let us look at this. If I have this, clicked now for France, that actually formats this for me. It gives me 2 France. I don't want this. I don't want this to interact with this. What am I going to do? I'm going to actually make sure I select this. And this time around, I'm going to go to Format. I'll click on Edit Interaction, or I can have this one opened. Then Edit Interaction here. I'll definitely take this off from any of the interaction coming from here. That is all I have to do. You get it? So let me show you another kind of interaction that is existing. If I definitely select this now, it's going to actually give me a highlight, or maybe you might not see this well. I'm going to actually go ahead, go here and uncheck this. So you can see it highlights this for me. I don't really fancy how it works. So all I need to do is not to actually highlight it. It's just what I want is to filter it. So make sure you click on this. Go ahead and click on this. And you choose to use this one. What happens? It just filters it. It wouldn't give it a highlight. So do the same thing to this one. Do the same thing to this one. Can you see that? Those are the 3 you have to work with. So click this one here, and you have to do the same thing to this very one. You click it, you come here, you click this one, you come here, you click this one, and you click on the line chart, and you do it to this one as well. Just edit your interaction the way you really want. I'm just giving you an instance of what you can do to actually have the interaction actually edited. So deselect it. So right now we have a complete dashboard created, and I believe you've learned something, you've gotten a lot of value. So if you've not liked my video before, maybe this is the best time for you to like this video, and as well is the best time for you to leave a comment and let me know what you feel, and as well is the best time for you to share, and it's the best time for you to subscribe if you've not subscribed to this channel before. So let us interact with this. If I have this selected right now, so I have this changed. If I select this particular 2013, I have this changed. If I select this small business here, I have, my dashboard updated the way it should be. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Can you see how interactive it is? And where we have a negative value, we have it right here with a different color. That is exactly what it is. And we can drill up and down on this to see how it actually looks. So this is what I'm talking about. So ladies and gentlemen, we've just come to the conclusion of this very dashboard today. So thanks for watching. Stay blessed. Keep coming to this channel because we're going to be creating more content for you guys using Microsoft Excel and Power BI in either finance or any other niche or other businesses, company, just for you.